Nitin Anandrao Yadav. Shaurya Chakra. He has an incredible story of another situation, and I want the next film to actually tell the story. But here is when it starts, I'm told. You were on a sortie to do surveillance for an enemy warship and flying an IL-38. You were in an incredibly dangerous situation. When all power generators fail all at once, you had a battery which would last 15 minutes. What happened after that? Let's see your story. Let's see. The story of Commander Yadav.
Life is fraught with unpredictabilities when you are a naval pilot out on a mission. Commander Nitin Anandrao Yadav has one gritting story to tell.
These are 8 generators, 4 alternators, couple of batteries, 4 batteries. This is our electrical system. We lost this complete system. When the engines are malfunctioning, we won't be warned in advance that be ready for this. The oil pressure, oil temperature, the fuel pressure, everything had exceeded the limit, and any time the engines could have caught fire and the aircraft would have been up in flames.
Despite the serious system failure, Commander Yadav managed to land the aircraft with 7 other crew members back to safety.
It was a big sigh of relief. But till that time, since we were into that complete emergency thought processes, only after we touched down and the aircraft came under control, and when we saw all the gauges, nothing is available with us, then it dawned upon us that what we've handled is one of the rarest of the rare things.
Awarded the Shaurya Chakra for this act of courage, this is the story of a brave heart, a hero for the naval force.
Aviation has its own challenges, and in Yadav's case, we are talking of a reconnaissance aircraft which was flying at 12,000 feet in rather extreme weather, and then he had a total electrical failure on board, and it then revolved around him to muster the remaining systems that were operational on board and to bring the aircraft back safely and of course save the lives of the crew that he had. And in such cases, when you find everything falling apart, it requires firstly tremendous professionalism. It requires extreme calm state of mind to be able to think rationally.
When it comes to issues related with flying, I'd like to ask Air Chief Marshal Major. Sir, if I remember correctly, you too had received a Shaurya Chakra for doing something exceptional in flying. I'm not aware of your citation, but maybe you could throw some light vis-a-vis Commander Yadav's act and how you see that as a pilot and as a decorated pilot.
To start with, he flies the IL-38s, and IL-38s are pretty old aeroplanes as far as I know. Typically a conventional old aircraft. And to have an electrical failure in a heavy transport aircraft is a difficult situation. And with a total electrical failure, like he very correctly said, nobody can see you, nobody knows where you are, you cannot communicate. You have limited time on your battery, and a wise decision of lowering the undercarriage when the battery is available, and then finding your way 600 miles or 300 miles, as he said, staying clear of all of the traffic and putting the aeroplane down safely is indeed an act of valor. And for which, yes, we should say that the agency was handled so well by you and your crew. And I would say well done.
Thank you. Commander Yadav,
as far as
yes.
What you're talking about, that was what was known as the Timber Trail Rescue, where I had done this rescue along with a team to pull out 11 people from a cable car hanging at 3,000 feet in a valley near a...
Of your having remembered that. Commander Yadav, let me come back to you. You are in this situation. You are in this huge plane, IL-38. I mean, it looked quite big to me. And it's flying for almost 40 years, I'm told, in this country.
Yes.
This is not happening. This kind of situation, I'm told, has never happened in the world. You have no warning indications. You have no navigation. You have very limited control over your engines. I am told that your oil temperature and pressure is way beyond permissible limits, which means you're flying in a ticking time bomb. Not only could you have crashed, it could have just burst into flames. How did you keep your nerve and decide what was the right thing to do?
To start with, the biggest point of concern for me was this oil temperatures which had crossed the limit. We were, as you covered rightly, so we were taking time bomb. And time was such that, as it was shown in the film also, it was the pre-monsoon weather conditions. There are no visible horizons available which you generally used to fly with. And flying over sea hundreds of miles where the sea and sky merge in together was even more challenging. So to maintain that coolness and calmness was my first worry, because if my voice quivers or something, all my 8 aircrew who were there with me, it was a perfect teamwork because of which we came back.
What did you tell them?
In fact, to start with, when we lost our battery, we had to scream at each other, because that's how we can communicate, because there was no intercom also available on board. But I was telling them, okay, airspeed is under control, altitude is being maintained, oil pressure and temperature I didn't mention to them. The biggest worry for me was the moment I came over the land, because we used a compass which is as big as the size of a 1 rupee coin. And whatever navigation which we did from 300 miles to get back to the base, I first pulled out my mobile when we came over our Karwar base. I deliberately steered away from Dublin because it was the peak afternoon when about 10 flights land in a matter of 2 to 3 minutes. So along with us, there will be hundreds of lives at stake. On the mobile, I informed Dublin ATC that we are under such an emergency. And a matter of few minutes, the airfield was prepared for an emergency landing like this. The biggest worry for me during the landing, the emergency had not ended by reaching Dublin. We were around 18 tons heavier than the max permissible landing. Speeds were exceptionally high because flaps are not available. Fuel in excess of 18 tons. No control over engines and no flight instruments. Communication, mobile. Somebody else is communicating for me. So on landing roll, moment we touched down, in fact it had to be a correct touchdown, weather conditions, pre-monsoon conditions, gusty events, and moment the aircraft came under control, I can't even switch off the engines. So the last possible resort was using pneumatic means to switch off the engines and control the aircraft on the runway. Hydraulics not available. So using whatever we've been trained for to get the aircraft under control.
Well, you're a flying James Bond, I can say, for what you've done. And not only did he save the lives of 8 crew members on board with this act of valor, Commander Nitin Yadav. Thank you for coming. Big round of applause. Big round of applause for Commander Nitin Yadav. Our next guest